The Prime card is all set. No more fights will be added beyond this point. We have a total of 11 fights and we are going to rank them. We're going to start from 11 and work our way to that number 1 spot in terms of excitement. How excited I am to see these fights. Now this card is stacked, so just because a fight is lower on the list does not mean I am not excited for it. And there are multiple fights on this card that could be main events. So we're going to get right into this. Number 11 for me is Astrid Wett versus Alexia Grace. Now I kept going back and forth between this one and the number 10 fight, but ultimately decided to put it at number 11 because Alexia Grace, I believe, is the only fighter on this entire card I am not really aware of. I know she's had beef with Astrid Wett. I know they were supposed to fight in the past and she dunked Astrid into some table, which I'm pretty sure ended up just being fake. Obviously, we've seen Astrid Wett on Misfits multiple times at this point. It's good to see her back. She's probably going to be the favorite for this fight. The lead up is probably going to be pretty funny. It's a solid fight. I'm glad it's on the card, but let's move on to number 10. At number 10, I got SX versus DTG. SX, if you aren't aware, is a musician. He has made multiple songs with KSI in the past. And I also believe he trains out of the same gym as KSI. I'm really interested to see his debut. DTG, we have seen him fight in the past. The last time we saw him was Misfits 002 when he lost in a very close fight against Halal Ham. A lot of people believe that he won that fight, and at the time he was very new to the sport, but I saw a lot of potential in him even at that point. From a technical aspect, he had a ton to be working on over this time, but I liked his aggression in that fight. He was really willing to move forward and give it his all. Two bigger guys in this fight. We need to see some bigger dudes in the scene, and I think this is a solid fight for the prelims. SX, good to have in the scene. DTG, I'm excited to see the improvement. And this leads us to our number 9 fight, Chase Damore versus Tempo Arts for the Misfits heavyweight title. Yes, Chase Damore, an 0-3 fighter, is fighting for a belt. I don't know how that's even possible. One of his losses, I'll give it to him, was a loss by disqualification when he thought he was in the UFC and did some ground and pound on his opponent to lose the fight. Tempo Arts, I've loved watching him fight in the past. We've seen the improvements from him so far, and now I think he's going to take it to another level. Chase Damore, I expect to see some improvement from him as well. Chase has never really been a technical fighter. He has always been very uncoordinated, is how I would put it. I'm hoping this is the one we finally see some big improvements. I'm leaning towards Tempo Arts on this fight, but for the heavyweights, you can never truly know. I think this one is a pretty exciting one. And now we got our number 8 fight, a little bit of a different one. Tag team boxing is back on Misfits. We got Alex Wasabi and Nick Lamau versus B. Dave and Luis Pineda. I think this one is a little bit of a mismatch. I think Nick Lamau and Alex Wasabi are the heavy favorites here, mostly because I think they're both better than B. Dave. Pretty clearly. We saw Nick Lamau and B. Dave go at it in that Misfits Survivor tag, and I think Nick is just on another level. Luis Pineda, he's going to have to put the team on his back if they want any chance of winning this fight. But I've always enjoyed watching the tag teams in the past. I think the lead up to this fight is going to be pretty good. These guys are all pretty entertaining. It's going to be pretty funny. I'm ready to see this one go down. For my number 7 fight, we have a huge name here in Whindersson Nunes. Nearly 60 million followers on Instagram. He is going up against my mate Nate. If you were following the Kingpin tournament, rest in peace. You would know these guys were both in there. Both have losses to King Kenny. And I think Misfits going and getting Whindersson Nunes for this card was one of the best decisions they could have made. He is going to bring even more eyes to this card. And what makes me excited for this fight is the fact that I think they're on a similar skill level. I think this one is going to be pretty competitive. I could see it going into the later rounds. These guys have shown heart in the past. They're dedicated to the game. and I think this is going to be a close fight. I'm going to break it down a bit further on my predictions video I'll have out on Fight Week, but I think this is just a smart fight, a close fight, and I'm very glad they got it for the Prime card. And now we got the number 6 fight in terms of my excitement, and this one might be a little bit of surprise because it is on the prelims, and that is Swarms versus Ryan Taylor. And if you saw their face-to-face, you know these guys do not like each other. This fight is becoming personal. I think they're gonna both go in there looking to do damage. Swarms One Punch Man took him out with a jab, first round, first punch thrown. And that was such a weird ending to the fight. I feel like I don't know how that fight would have gone if that didn't happen. And I think Swarms has even improved since that performance. Ryan Taylor, he has shown his toughness, especially in his decision loss against Slim. Swarms has improved. He has shown he's dedicated to getting better. I think we're in for a good rematch here. And I think there's a lot of unanswered questions we'll get from this fight. And now for my top 5 picks for the Prime card, I think all 5 of these fights could be main events. On any other card, all 5 of these, main event. I had a little bit of a tough time picking between these ones, but I feel pretty good about the order I have. Number 5, I've got King Kenny versus Anthony Taylor. King Kenny coming off of probably his best win yet. The confidence he showed in that fight was unlike anything we've seen from him. I'm hoping he carries that confidence into this fight against a more difficult opponent in Anthony Taylor. This is a big step up for him, and I have a lot of respect for him in even taking this fight. Anthony Taylor coming off of his win against Salt Poppy. That was a step up for Salt Poppy. King Kenny looking to do what Salt Poppy couldn't, and I'm really interested to see how this one goes. I think Kenny has the tools to get it done. I see this one going the distance for sure. I don't think there's going to be a finish here, but I think it's going to be competitive. I want to see if Kenny can keep this thing at range, control the distance, or if Anthony Taylor is going to put the pressure on him and bully him in that ring. This one is for the belt, and we're getting to that point where guys who have been in this scene for a while are starting to really challenge themselves, and I love to see it. And now for the number 4 and 3 spot, I was going back and forth once again, but I decided to put Dean the Great versus Waleed Sharks at 4. Their first fight, one of the best we have seen on Misfits. Waleed Sharks mostly dominating that first fight until Dean the Great landed that insane right hand to end the fight right there, which I think is part of the reason this second fight is going to be so interesting. I want to see what improvements Dean has made, how this fight is going to open up, what the strategies are going to be from both guys. Will they let their emotions get the best of them? Because this thing has become personal, and this one has potential to be fight of the night for sure. This could also be the most technical fight of the night. Both guys insanely skilled, especially for Misfits boxing. This is a huge rematch. The wait is finally over. We've been wanting to see this one. The buildup has been intense, and now it's finally time. For my number 3 fight of the Prime card, I have Salt Poppy versus Slim, and I am so happy this fight got made. I didn't think we were going to get this. I was looking forward to it a couple months back, and then negotiations fell through. We didn't think we were going to get it. Slim and Misfits were having some contract troubles, but they got it done in the end. Salt Poppy and Slim, both guys who could potentially be the next face of Misfits once KSI retires. I think Misfits sees a ton of potential in both of these guys. Salt Poppy wanting redemption, does not want to take 2 losses in a row here. Slim, we have seen him as the underdog in the past, and he has delivered, and now he finds himself in that situation once again. He has taken some time off, and he has said you're gonna see a new fighter in there. From friends to rivals, both guys looking confident, ready for this fight. We're getting the best version of both of them, and I don't want to see either of them lose, and I think that's what makes this fight so exciting. And now my number 2 fight for the Prime card is the second to last fight on the card as well, Logan Paul versus Dylan Dennis. And say what you want about the promotion from Dylan Dennis in this fight. I think we all know what I'm talking about here. It has made the fight more interesting. We all want to see it more because of what has been going on, the back and forth between Logan and Dylan. Now, I don't actually think this fight is going to be super close. I think Logan has a big advantage in this fight. I think he's going to win relatively easily. I am just hoping that we actually get this fight. Nothing goes wrong. Both of them show up, and we finally get to see the conclusion of all the madness that has been happening. Logan Paul been out of the game for a few years now, finally making his return to the ring. Dylan Dennis, a jiu-jitsu specialist, making his boxing debut. Like I said, the lead up, the names have made this fight very interesting, but I just don't think it's going to be super close. And just imagine if Dylan was somehow able to get this win. I would be shocked, and I don't even know what you would do if you're Logan Paul. And now that leads me to my number one fight of the Prime card and the main event as well, KSI versus Tommy Fury. I remember watching KSI versus Joe Weller way back in the day. I've paid attention to this scene for a long time, and this KSI fight just feels different. It's given me that same excitement as KSI versus Logan Paul 2. KSI's last few fights, I've enjoyed watching them, but for the most part, he has been a big favorite. And now we are finally seeing him going back to that underdog level for a fight because Tommy Fury is definitely the favorite here, and he should be. Tommy Fury, his last fight, has a win over Jake Paul. KSI looking to make a big statement with a win here, and they both seem very confident in this victory, and they both seem confident in a knockout. I understand KSI is the underdog, but just imagine the scenes if KSI somehow pulls off this upset. If KSI knocks out Tommy Fury, it will be insane. It would be unlike anything we've seen in the crossover space before. A huge upset, and I don't think a lot of people see it coming. Just the idea of that potentially happening makes me put this fight number one. Watching all of the fights all the way back to KSI versus Joe Weller, the buildup of what KSI has done over this career of boxing, it feels like it's starting to come to an end. He has this fight, maybe one more, and then that's probably it for KSI. Like I said, Tommy Fury, most people are picking him to win, and I don't blame them. But I can't wait to see this one go down. The main event for the Prime card, these are my rankings, number 11 to number 1. What do you guys think? What fight are you most excited for? Subscribe for more boxing content and updates. The support is much appreciated. Thank you for watching. Peace.